and inclusion. I will have to figure that, thank you, and of diversity, equity, inclusion, and education for the Centennial School District. Her prior experience includes work as an instructional specialist, instructional reform facilitator, and teacher in the School District of Philadelphia. Ms. James Coles is a doctoral student at Immaculata University. She holds a master's in educational leadership from Lehigh University and a master's in elementary education from Cambridge College. She received her bachelor's degree in early childhood elementary education from Temple University. She will discuss her newly created role in the district, the experience she brings to the position, and her vision for DEI moving forward. And without further ado, please welcome Shawana James Coles.
Good morning, everyone. I am so excited to be here. I thank you for the opportunity to come and share with everyone. One of the things before I share my presentation, I want to say this to you that I've been speaking a lot about belonging. And this is my 28th year in education. And I have not felt a sense of belonging that in my educational career that I felt since I've been here in Lower Merion in a very long time. And I attribute it to this wonderful community, people checking in on me to make sure I'm adjusting well. I've had the wonderful honor and privilege of visiting. I started this summer visiting the schools and sitting with the principals and hearing about their visions and touring their buildings. Because as a building principal, you know, we like to share off our buildings, and it was just a great intimate time with the principals. I've started now going to some of the faculty meetings and meeting some of the teachers. Again, I've only been here a few months, so I ask you to think about, I always say, a baby. I'm a baby, I'm in my infancy of this, so I ask you to just please help me as I'm trying to transition, but it has been a wonderful experience. I've learned to go to Suburban Square, and now people in Suburban Square are recognizing me. I have friends at some of the marketplaces, and so it has really been a wonderful transition here. When I came to Lower Merion from Centennial, I've only been in 3 places: Philadelphia School District and Centennial. And I keep saying this, I'm not going anywhere after this. I'm staying with you all. I'm not leaving, so you're stuck with me, okay? So I'm going to start my presentation. My presentation is going to be more of, I'll talk about myself, and at the end, because I won't be able to see you, I'll take a few questions, but it's really about me and my journey to this role and why it's important to me. So I'm going to hit share screen, and hopefully you can see this. Can you see everything? Perfect. Okay.
Yep.
So we'll have a conversation. This is something I also did this summer with our new teachers. We had 77 new teachers that joined us. And I did this presentation, My Story, Your Story, and Our Story, because we all have a story. And so we're going to talk a little bit about belonging, making connections, empathy, and building a sense of community, because we're all essential in this role. I want you to take a few minutes and think about your favorite teacher, right? We've all had a favorite teacher in our lives. I want you to just take a few seconds and think about that teacher. Think about how that teacher made you feel. What was so special about that teacher? What was exciting about that teacher? Why did you want to show up every day to be in the presence of that teacher? You didn't want to let that teacher down. This is one of my favorite quotes. It says, an awesome teacher is hard to find, difficult to part with, and impossible to forget, right? We've all had those people in our lives that have made us who we are and make us feel like, oh my God, I just want to be like them. For me, this person was Joan Lambright. Joan Lambright, I was born and raised in the inner city, and Joan Lambright was an incredible teacher. She's since retired, and I've been able to connect with her since I have been in education. She is the reason why I wanted to go into this field. Joan Lambright taught her students in the inner city. I went to Head Start. It's a program for families who did not have a lot of money. And so so I did not go to kindergarten. So they did this test this one year and I tested bright. So they took me from pre-K and put me in the first grade classroom. And I had this amazing lady. Joan Lambright would take things that we can't do now. She would take students home with her on the weekends. And she showed us that there was more to life than what we saw in our community. And I wanted to be like a Joan Lambright. And so when I started my teaching career, I wanted to work in the inner city and I wanted to be that person just like Joan. And so I decided I was going into education. I went to Temple University. I started at Temple. I was the first generation. I was labeled a first generation economically disadvantaged student. And so I started this career journey, but I always had a sense of community. And so community and belongingness and connectivity, all those things are important and they're who I am and they've made me who I am as an educator. This is my why. These are my two children, Jared and Kelly, and my husband, Bernardo. This is why I get up every day. I grew up in the inner city, but we raised our children in the suburbs. And so getting acclimated to being a parent in the suburbs was trial by fire. I had a lot to learn, but luckily I lived in a great community where people helped me understand the ways of the world. My daughter, Kelly, is a senior at Penn State University. She's on main campus, and my son, Jared, he graduated in 2015 from high school, and then he graduated 2019 from Temple University. And so he's all thriving and doing well, and she's trying to she's now, she'll go to law school when she graduates in this summer. So anybody has some tips for me, that'll be great. But this is my why. And I remember as a new teacher, one of the quotes our principal had on her board every day was, give your students the same education you would want for your children. And that's been my mantra, to make sure that every student, whatever role I've been in, that they had the same education and accessibility that my children have been able to have for my family, because they're the most important people to me. And so when I'm in the classrooms, when I'm around people, when I'm around students, I get excited because I want to give them everything. I want to give them all of me. And like I said, we all have a story, right? And so one of my goals is to disrupt the single story, right? That we are multifaceted people. I shared this in the summer with the new teachers. Who are you? Who are you? How do you define yourself and how do you connect? We are all multifaceted, right? We're not just one of these identities that you see in this puzzle piece here. And we're connected to each other in so many ways. How we think, our perspectives, our experiences, our ethnicity, our race, our culture, our sexual orientation, our gender, all those things connect us. And a lot of times, and this is what I want for our students and I want for our teachers in our community to understand, we're not just one thing. We are many things and we make up so many things, right? And so one of my goals is, like I said, to disrupt the single story, to be excited. I don't know if some of you saw the news report that Fox 29 did in the beginning of the school year when I spoke about belonging. I want to make sure that our students feel that they belong here, that they are excited about coming to Lower Merion School District each and every day. And one of the ways we're doing that is through empathy and understanding and being able to share and feel the experiences of others. And this is such a dynamic community. People have, like I said in that previous slide, they bring so much to the table. But we do have to also understand that everyone starts off differently, right? Some people have more obstacles in their ways than others. Sometimes it's gender, sometimes it's race, sometimes it's just by where you live, where your community lies. There are so many things that make up who we are. And our goal is they're starting here with us in kindergarten, but we have to get everyone to that finish line by the time they get to 12th grade, right? Everyone has to be able to get there. And we have to be nimble and be able to navigate all of these things and making sure, even in the midst of all that, the students feel like they belong. And we want to make sure that we are taking time to sit with sitting these spaces with our families and our students. And sometimes there's a full range of emotions. Sometimes there are happy times, and sometimes there's times of anger and frustration, and sometimes there's gratitude, and sometimes there's sadness and sorrow, and sometimes there's despair and grief. But we want to make sure that we have an opportunity to sit in these spaces, to listen empathetically, and make sure that we are doing the very best we can to support the families. This is my belief. This is who I am. And I know a lot of people, you don't know me, but when you get to know me, you know that what you see is what you get. This is who I am. I am generally, I always say 95% of the time, you'll get the smile and happiness. And I do it so much that when I don't do it, people are like, are you okay, right? I want when our children to come there excited, that they're happy, that they feel the energy that I have within me. I want to make sure that I'm accessible. I've been going to some of the other community events. I've been trying to say yes to as many things as I can say yes to, so that people can get a chance to know me and know who I am, what I stand for, my convictions. And it's all about making sure that everyone gets what they need to be successful. That is the true definition of equity, that everyone gets what they need to be successful. Oh, there we go. And so in doing this, we want to make sure that we're building belonging. And this is something that I share in my interview here. It's another one of my favorite quotes from Brene Brown. And Brene Brown says that fitting in is about assessing the situation and becoming who you need to be accepted. Conversely, belonging doesn't require us to change who we are. It requires us to be who we are. Well, I am exuberant, I am excited, and sometimes I could be a lot for people, right? But that's who I am. And I want people to accept me for who I am. And I want, if you are shy and kind of quiet, you should be accepted for that as well, right? We want to make sure that people don't feel like they have to just fit in, that they feel like when they're here, that they belong here. And I am so grateful that I personally have experienced this here since I've been here. And so it makes it even more of a call to action for me because I'm experiencing it, right? So when you experience it, you want everyone to feel, when you have this fire about you, you want everyone, and it becomes contagious, and you want everyone to feel what you feel. Belonging is essential. We define belonging as the extent to people feel appreciated, they feel validated, they feel accepted, they feel that they're being treated with fairly within an environment, whether it's in their school, in their classroom, on the bus, at work, in the lunchroom, and at recess, that you feel that you belong. That is essential. It's what we need as human beings. When students feel that they belong, they aren't worried or distracted about, being treated as a stereotype or a slice of their multidimensional identities, is what we talked about with those that disrupting the single story. But I can be my authentic self. If I had to come in every day and not be Shawana James Coles, and I had to be someone else, it wouldn't be good, right? I want to come in and be my authentic self, and I want you to love me and accept me for being who I am. This other quote by Westmore has been something that I've shared personally with my children. I share it in professional developments that I attend, that we are never in a room that we don't belong in. We're not here, he goes on to say that we're not here because of someone's benevolence. We're not here because someone thought it was a great idea. We are here because we belong here. You as parents have worked very hard for the opportunity for you to reside here and give your children the best education in Lower Merion School District. So when your children show up, they should feel like they belong in this space. Our kids know we care. I always try to end with this slide. This is my son, Jared, I talked about earlier. When Jared graduated in 2015, and this is like one of those points of pride as a parent. When Jared graduated in 2015 from Plymouth White Marsh High School, the next morning, everyone else is sleeping in and, like, I'm done with high school. Jared says, Mom, I have to go back and I need to go and see the cafeteria manager. And I said, why you need to go to see the cafeteria manager? He said, Mom, I have to go get her some flowers. And I said, really? And so he went and he got her some flowers, and this is her face. She's since retired. She had worked for the district for 20 something years or whatever. But she said in all her time in the district, no one has ever showed up to thank her. And so it touched her heart that he came back and showed her gratitude for how she treated him, she treated him in the school. And so I share this because it's not just the teachers, right? It is the cafeteria managers that interact with our children. It's the recess monitors, it's the bus aides. And I'm sorry if it's not the same terminology from where I was in my previous districts. It is the transportation, it's transportation, it's the aides that's walking around in the hallways. Everyone who has contact with your children when they're here, they matter. And our children need to know that when they're in contact, they are the most important people in these people in their lives, right? And so this woman made him feel like he was a king. And I did say to him, I said, well, what was she doing? Was she giving you extra food or something? What was she doing? And she was like, Mom, no. He said, Mom, no. Every day she would just ask me how my day was. How's it going? She always checked in with him. And so when we're having, I know Dr. Mami has met with the transportation department and he's met with different departments here, and he's in expressing how important they are to this organizational structure as well, because every one of us who have contact, and I'm loving going into the buildings now, I want people to feel like the first day, I'll give you this funny story. I was at Black Rock. The first day of school, I was like, I'm going to come and I'm going to help. And a student came up to me and was like, asked me where to help direct them to where they needed to go. Well, I knew about as much as that student, but I was like, I don't know where you're going, but we're going to figure it out together. And I did it with a great smile. And we walked around and I was able to help her get to where she needed to go. But that first day could have been a sense of anxiety, but she saw me standing in the corner for some reason, smiling, and she connected with me, and we made it work. And so we all have a part to play. I am a big proponent of parent involvement. I'm a big supporter of community engagement because these are the avenues and the places that I've had great impact. When I was in my previous district, I was at community events. I was every year as a principal, I was the bingo caller because my voice projected and I was calling bingo at the county fair there, because I realized that we have to be entrenched in the community, right? And so I know this may not have been a presentation like what you're used to hearing, but I'm in my infancy stage. I'm bringing some of those experiences. I'm sitting in a lot of places. One point of pride that I'm sitting right now is Lower Merion School District, because I sat on the board for the Pennsylvania Department of Education for Equity. They've now started a new part of it for family and community engagement. And Lower Merion is one of 6 districts. There were 3 selected in Pennsylvania and 3 selected from the Maryland area. And so what we do here is going to be on a national stage for others to see and learn from. And so I'm really excited about this, and I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to learn. There's going to be some recalibration and some shifting. One of my favorite quotes by Dr. Maya Angelou is, she said, do the best you can until you know better. And then when you know better, do better. And so right now I'm learning, I'm trying to know better so that I can do better and be a better person. So I hope that you've kind of enjoyed this little journey of who I am, and I'll take a few questions from you. And then I'm so grateful for this team. I'm joined by some great people from the district who will also add to this because I can't do it at all, again, because I am just a few months old, and I'm still learning and I'm still growing and I'm still trying to navigate and learn, because every district is different, right? I even told you like with some of the terminology, and I will tell you, Lower Merion, there are a lot of groups with a lot of acronyms that I'm still trying to learn. And they'll say, well, we had this meeting. I'm like, okay, well, which meeting? I even have a cheat sheet now. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's this meeting. Okay. Because I want to be a part of it. I want to be, and I hope that you can hear from my voice, my enthusiasm and my excitement for being a part of this great community. So does anyone have any questions for me? And those kinds of, go ahead.
Ms. James Cole, right before you go into questions, You're not the only baby in the room, because a lot of parents are new to this whole process of Hot Topics as well. And I had a question, if we could just go around very quickly and introduce the admin folks, people in the district, because a lot of people don't even know who they are. So I'll call you since you're in different places on the screen. Dr. McGloin?
Yeah, sure. Hi, I'm Alexis McGloin. I'm the assistant superintendent in the school district. I oversee curriculum instruction. I oversee building principals, and available at any point if anybody has any questions. Nice to meet everybody.
Thanks. Kimberly Frazier?
Good morning. I'm Kimberly. I'm the Director of Student Services and Special Education. So that includes special education, gifted education, our health services, our clinical services, school social workers, our school psychologists, and our counseling department. It's nice to see everyone.
Thanks. Megan Schaefer?
Hi, good morning, everyone. I'm the assistant to the superintendent for district administration, and I'm fortunate to have an office really close to Shawana. So I'd like to say that she's really helping me come out of my shell. So I think she's a good compliment to me. Thanks, Shawana.
That's hilarious. Very good. Dr. Gaudioso?
Hi, Jen Gaudioso, Director of Elementary Education. I oversee the elementary schools curriculum and principals, and I work with, I coordinate some K-12 areas like our MTSS, multi-tiered systems of support, and our data warehousing, and support all the buildings with those.
Thank you. And last but not least, Amy Buckman.
Hi, I'm Amy. I'm the Director of School and Community Relations. I'll be the annoying voice at the end of the robocalls you receive, but I'm also very excited to be working with Shawana this year on our LMSD Building Belonging campaign that you'll be hearing more about in the coming months, and basically handle just about everything that has to do with communications in the district.
Thank you. And I'll remind everyone again that you can use your raise hand function, or you can put it in the chat too if you like. And I do see that we do have one in the chat. What is the DEI budget? Does anyone know that?
I'm going to turn it over. Because again, remember, I'm an infant. So I'm going to turn that over to Dr. McGloin.
So I don't know the number off the top of my head, but it is, I feel like it's somewhere in like the 100,000, maybe a little bit over that range. It includes a lot of different things, including like support that we receive from outside research foundations. So that's what I feel like it is. But again, that might be a little bit of a shot in the dark. So if I'm wrong, I apologize for that, but it's around there. But here's the other thing that I'll say, and I just want to add on to that, because that's probably a misstatement. Within my budget, I also house a lot of different DEI initiatives. So, you know, we have the Achievement Imperative Task Force, AITF, which I think people hopefully have heard that acronym by this point in time. And through that, we support a bunch of initiatives, like, for instance, our summer STEM programming, right? Restorative practices training throughout the school district. In my budget, in the assistant superintendent's budget, that is all included in that. So it is definitely more than what Ms. James Coles has in her budget that's specific to like that role, because we do have money throughout the budget in different areas that support the DEI initiatives in the district. So I just wanted to make sure that I pointed that out as well. We definitely have other supplemental funds that don't necessarily translate just to her budget.
Let's see, can you please repeat the last point you made about LMSD being selected as one of 6 schools? In which organization? Yeah, we want to write that down.
So the MEAC, and I'll get again with acronyms right. So Pennsylvania Department of Education, they've started this family and community engagement department. I can make sure, Mrs. Masterman, that I get you the exact term, you know, what it means, what it stands for. It's such an exciting opportunity. I will tell you that there'll be an opportunity. So the 6 districts that were selected, again, like I said, is Maryland and Pennsylvania. There will be a month that we will post, and I'll get information out to you on a variety of topics. So I have to select a topic that I feel strongly that Lower Merion School District is doing really well, and that can be that sort of place where other people can learn from what we are doing, right? And so I will get all that information to you so that you can put that inside of your newsletter. I just want to make sure I have, but the organization is MEAC, but I got to make sure I understand what it stands for. The actual acronym stands for. I have it, but I want to make sure. I wish Dr. Momin was still on because he knows the organization. But I was really excited to be selected because there are so many parent groups and community groups here that others can learn from. And so we just had our first meeting 2 weeks ago. And then we just received the email yesterday with a list of topic ideas that are coming from across the 2 states. And then we are able to share what we're doing as best practices so that others can learn from what we do. That was the word I was looking for. So I'll get that information to you as soon as I can, Mrs. Masterman and Mrs. Crawford, so that you can share that out to the families.
That would be terrific. Yes, our newsletters would be a great way to showcase that. There's another question in the chat. Will you share your plan for this program on how to make students feel included in their schools?
Yes. So again, I wanted this to be more of a meeting because I was under pressure, just a meet and greet. So it's not that I'm trying not to say, but I'm still, in Lower Merion, we've been wonderful. It's been wonderful that I've been able to bring something from our previous district, which is our equity liaisons. So each building, and you'll hear a little bit more about this later, has an equity liaison, and I'm working with them, but we haven't had our first meeting because as a building principal, I know that the needs of each building is different. So there's going to be one building that'll be working on peer mediation. There's a group that's working on student voice, and there's a group that's working on responsive classroom and restorative practices. There's a group so there's so many things. And until I sit down and meet with them, and so I will start doing presentations and say, well, let me tell you what this building is doing and that building is doing. But until I sit with them, and again, remember, they're trying to get to every building and sitting in their faculty meetings. And I still haven't met all the staff members. I want to wait until we have our next meeting to really get into specifics of what I'm doing until I can sit with them and the principals. If you can just please understand that I'm not trying to hide anything. I just want to make sure that we're all on the same page before I say something. I like to make sure that I know what I'm speaking of before I say it. And again, this has been a learning process for me, just making sure that I'm getting around to all the places. So I'm not trying to hide. I just want to make sure that until I have my meeting with the liaisons and the principals and have had an opportunity to meet all the faculties in each of the building, because a lot of times the faculty meetings on the same day. So I can't get in both meetings. And so I've been trying to get around to all the districts. So.
Thank you. Okay, so then this next question would just be a reminder as you're doing that, then I guess to make sure to include the diversity specifically of BIPOC and LGBTQ.
Yes, definitely.
For teachers and students. I'll add the students.
And I'm so glad that someone said that, because so even with me coming, and this is unique to Lower Merion, we still have those consultants that Lower Merion was working with. So I'm still working with Victorious, and I'm still working with Jean Stanley. I'm still working with those people. And it is a matter of fact, Thursday, I'm meeting with Dr. Stanley to sit with her. And so she can share all of the wonderful things that she's been able to do in Lower Merion. I'm meeting with Victorious this week, who's working with CARE. So I am still getting a lot of information as I've gone to some of these community meetings. I walk away with folders, and I'm reading and trying to make all those connections so that I can make sure that I'm being what you want me to be and who you want me to be in this district to support the students. And I think that's one of the reasons I also started with my experience of feeling that sense of belonging, right? Because a lot of times we focus on the children, right? And it's important that we focus on the children, but we also have to focus on our staff. We have to focus on our teachers and our administrators, and we have to focus on parents, right? I will tell you, as a parent, when I first moved my family, I raised my children in the suburbs. And again, like I said, I grew up in the city. It was a different way for me, right? And so I'm grateful that my neighbors and the folks in my development helped me along the way to make sure that I knew. And so I want to be that same conduit for other people, that I'm helping them as they're transitioning, or maybe you grew up here and you have, some historical knowledge. And so people have been sharing a lot with me, and it's a lot to process. And I am really wholeheartedly 195% all in trying to learn and be accessible to everyone, and really trying to make sure that everyone feels this sense of belonging. I know it's not going to be, it can't be 100%, but as many people will, our goal is 100% that everyone feels like they have a place here in the district, and that includes adults, right? And so that's why I wanted to let you know how you've made me feel. I haven't been forgotten, and it is very difficult when you are a woman of a certain age. That's my favorite line. And you're transitioning to a new place. It is difficult, right? I see some head nods. And so, sometimes I'm like, I'm 52. And I'm like, I have to remember I'm 52. And so I'm learning at my 52-year-old mind, a lot of information at once. And so please just work with me and know that I'm doing the very best I can.
That is so encouraging. Thank you for saying that, because as you mentioned, we have a massive alphabet soup of interested parties with various diverse groupings. And if there's a way for you to pull us all together so we all understand each other better and can help support one another, that's what this is all about.
Absolutely. And that's my goal. Like those were some of my questions. I'm like, there are a lot. How do we get together? And so as I'm learning, I'm starting to see those connections, right? And so there are a few friends on the call, and they've heard me say, oh, I have to go to, but can we kind of combine these two meetings and some community groups out here? Because I say this, in my previous district, it was only 6 schools, right? And our superintendent would say, we're 6 schools, but we're one district. And so we have all these buildings, but we are one district here, right? And so that sense of community is very important. Working in Philadelphia School District, there's a lot of schools, a lot of divisions, not division like being divisive, but like sections of the city, and so many districts in this region. There are a lot of regions. And so I was able to feel that sense of belonging there. And this is not as big as Philly. And so we should be able to come together at some points. I saw one day it showed, one of the best ways to come together is over a meal. So maybe we'll just have a big potluck and we'll all sit down and we can just break bread, because music and food are those things that seem to make sure that you can sit in a space and and like I said, disrupt the single story, learn from each other. I will be a little transparent with you. When we moved to the suburbs, I did not know that the development that I moved into was a predominantly Jewish development. And there was only one other African-American family in the development. But I will tell you, I have learned so much in my development. I've been to bat mitzvahs and bar mitzvahs. I've been to quinceañeras. I've been to, and my children have had a chance to experience it. So you can hear my excitement. I've been to, bris, and it's such an exciting time. And then, I grew up with my mother always having Sunday dinner. We would always have Sunday dinner. And my cousins and my family members would come over. And my mother always had this huge Christmas brunch. So when we moved into our home, I took over the Christmas brunch. And then I invited all my neighbors over. And so every year we have this Christmas brunch, and my neighbors come, and although our backgrounds are different, I'll tell you, it is the highlight of the development when we have this holiday party. And so just that food and just sitting and sharing and breaking bread, some of those things that divide us, they seem to subside for a minute when we're just having fun. So maybe we'll have a big community, let's sit down and chat and eat.
That sounds perfect. Do we have any other questions? I know Ms. Schaefer has said she has some other supporting slides to show. Here we go. It appears the middle school or the MS Summer STEM program is for students of color, girls, non-binary, gender, and LGBTQ students. This clearly excludes parts of our LMSD population. Please share your perspective. Okay, I think that's still something that's going to be developed, correct?
Yeah, and I know that Dr. McLaurin spoke on this because some of these things were in place before my arrival, so I'll turn it over to her to let her give an answer.
I did talk about it last night. So we have the Achievement Imperative Task Force, and that really is looking at the district from an equity lens and giving students who don't necessarily, they're underserved students for whatever reason, or in an area that is just not as robust, giving them opportunities. And so that's where STEM started, because we knew that we had a lot of our students that didn't participate in our higher level math, higher level science classes, and our STEM classes. And we were really doing a push to try to get more students to be interested in STEM education that were our BIPOC students. That's where that started in elementary school. And then that committee, that subcommittee of the Achievement Imperative Task Force then brought up to high school with the next group. And then last year we added middle school into the mix. We heard from our female students, because remember, we're talking about students that are underrepresented. And so our female students had a conversation, and we're not seeing them in our tech ed classes and our computer classes. And so we decided to focus on that group next. And that really is the focus of Achievement Imperative Task Force, to really look at our underrepresented students and see how we give them opportunities so that they feel like they can achieve and belong in the school district.
Thank you for that. I want to give the shout out, because I want to echo the I'm happy song in our head, that you just are making us all very happy, Ms. James Cole, with all that you're expressing and sharing with us.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. But next month, I'll be able to, I'll be a month older, and I'll be able to give you more information. It takes time, right? Even this work, one of the things I've always said is DEI is slow and steady wins the race, because we don't want to just jump out there and do things and it's not sustainable, right? And so we want to make sure, and so even with me, I'm very deliberate, and I'm taking my time and going at a pace that I can make sure that whatever we implement is sustainable, because this work shouldn't be about a person. It shouldn't be about someone sitting here. It should be that, when my time is over, that this work remains. And so we want to make sure that what we do, it's meaningful, and that that is something that the community, the families, that they really believe in and they buy into. I'm great. Call on.
Go ahead, Shawana.
I forgot my role. I apologize.
You're supposed to answer, not ask. Okay. Ms. Altuer. Where'd she go?
Thank you. I'm not a good typer. So I had to just raise my hand. Hi, everybody. Hi, Shawana. Hi, everyone. Okay, so my question, which I don't know if it's too complicated for this forum, but I was wondering how in your previous school districts or experience, how there's obviously community members that have different or opposing points of view on all things DEI and things under that category, everything from social emotional learning. And, so I'm wondering if it's okay to answer here, how you have addressed that in the past, what's worked, what hasn't worked.
Yeah, I'll answer that one. And because it's not specific to here and what I've done in the past. One of the things I think it's because I spent 8 years in Centennial School District, and I'll just say the name. And families knew me. They knew me because I had been a principal. And as I said, I was the head bingo caller for the community, county fair. And so because parents had been used to seeing me in the community, and I am a relationship person. I love people. I really do. I love talking to people. I can be anywhere and strike up a conversation. It drives my family crazy. I can be in a restaurant and someone walks over to me and I'm going to engage in a full-fledged conversation because I love people. And so one of the ways I was able to address some of the things, and like I said, that disrupting that single story, is because I welcome people to sit at the table with me, and we would have conversation. And sometimes it was just about helping people understand what DEI means, right? What do the words mean? What does this work entail? And I would say more times than not, we walked away with a great understanding. And sometimes it was just a misunderstanding or a misconception. And sometimes families, quite honestly, felt that if we were doing this work, it was taking from their children. And so when I was able to sit and speak with them about what we were really doing, it was wonderful. When we had our students come to board meetings and speak about what they were doing in their buildings, it was exciting. I remember last year, at the end of the year, we were able to get this class called America Like Me. And at the end, the culminating unit was to go on the trip down to the city. And they went to this restaurant, Barbacoa. I don't know if you're familiar with it. And it's about from an immigrant family. And the owners came out and they shared their story. And we broke bread and we were eating and enjoying this experience. And these children had never been, a lot of them had never been in a city like that. And then they went on tours and they went to various neighborhoods and they got to see the murals. And it was such an exciting experience that one of the students, they went into a bodega and a student stood up. He said, I went to this bodega and I bought this, he bought a cassette. I didn't even know you could still buy cassettes. And he bought this cassette with this music he had never heard. He's like, now it's become my favorite music. And so initially that was a very difficult class for people, for us to get past. And now it's like everyone wants to be in this class. And because of the experiences of the children, right? And so just taking that time, I sat with a board member to explain when we were working on equity policy, this lovely lady who was in her 80s. And we sat down and she said, she would laugh. She would, I forgot the nickname she called me, but she told me, she's like, you're my bad girl. So bad girl, tell me about this. Help me understand what this means, right? And we sat, and it wasn't just one meeting, it was multiple meetings for her to understand. And then she would take it and share it with other people. I don't mind spending time as much as I can. I'm going to say that way. You know, sometimes I can't because there are other obligations, but just taking that time, Ms. Ashla, has been really, really helpful for me to just explain sometimes that one-on-one. You know, we've been in meetings together, you and I, or it's been 2 or 3 of us. We've had meetings where we've been trying to understand this work. And so that was a long answer, but it really is about building relationships and again, that sense of community, which is really at the heart of who I am as a person.
Thank you.
Welcome.
I'd love to hear your thoughts on the phrase diversity of thought as opposed to just saying diversity. That wasn't me. I read that.
No. I'm going to wait until we have our next meeting because again, I don't want to answer off the cuff. Let me think that through and then I'll get back to it. And then I also know that there are other people on the screen who want to, from the district that want to present as well.
Yeah. So Ms. Schaefer, I think now is an appropriate time to turn the screen over to you so that you can continue the process here.
I think Dr. Mameen may want to jump in for a sec. I see him unmuted as Georgine.
Georgine, hey girl.
Yes, my alias. My alias. I just wanted to jump in and say good morning to everyone. I'm at the lovely Black Rock. Hey, how you doing? Doing well. Good to see you. I'm at the lovely Black Rock Middle School, and I'm so excited to be on this meeting this morning. Just to say thank you for your continued support, and we're going to continue to do our very best to provide you with communication on these hot topics. As you've been hearing throughout my tenure, my short tenure thus far, we are strongly committed to parental and community engagement, and of course, student voice. So again, I thank you for allowing us the space to be able to present these items to you. Today, what you're going to hear and what you're going to see in the next presentation is taking a look at how our DEI efforts are, the umbrella, DEIB that is, are the umbrella to the work that we are conducting within the district. That is the big umbrella, and under that umbrella comes academics, comes community engagement, comes student voice, and it all brings the All Forwards plan out into the open and into the forefront. You will hear a lot about All Forward this year as we are continually trying to show how all of our work is aligned with the strategic plan. So with that said, I just want to say thank you and Godspeed to a great school year. And I'm looking forward to this continuing engagement with you all. And thank you for giving up your time today.
Thank you. And now I think we will turn it over to Ms. Schaefer to control the screen, correct?
All right, yep, if that's available to me, I'll go ahead
You
and
should be-
share.
Yeah, you should
Let's
be able to.
see. Here we go, hopefully. Shawana is so modest. She's like, I've just been here a minute and I'm just learning, but really she's had a tremendous impact on our work already. And I just wanted to showcase some of the ways in which we see her sort of role as it connects with our work and really does so seamlessly. Obviously, as a person, you can tell like she's just a joy to be around and as a work colleague. So that makes it, I mean, like icing on the cake. So we wanted to just give you, and those of you that are new, a little bit of insight to our structure, and hopefully that helps like see where her role fits into the larger organization and just who we are as well as an organization. So this is our organizational structure, and I'll send these slides, Cheryl, to you or whoever wants to distribute them. I know it's like small font here that it might be hard to see, but the idea is this is, we're led by a board of school directors. Dr. Amin is a member of that board, but also is our direct supervisor. And that when I say our, members of the cabinet, which is those positions listed in green there. And then the people that occupy those positions are below that with also our email addresses. So hopefully that's okay with all of our cabinet members, but they're out there anyway. So if you ever have a question for these particular areas, you can at least see kind of where people fit in the organization. And then you see Shawana is in the mix, right, at the cabinet level, which I think really helps us think critically about this work every day and everything we do. So being able to, I think, which is different than before. And I should say that I've been here for over a decade. We've not had a director of DEI sitting at the cabinet level, and I think that's is going to just help us elevate the work and make sure it's embedded in all facets of the organization. And then just a little bit about where her role sits. And I don't want to, I am kind of speaking for her, but the vision of this is that she doesn't sit alone either, that she's supported by a team. And my office and Latoya Baskerville-Uzel is our assistant, who is a wonderful resource. And if you ever need to contact us, please feel free to reach out to Latoya. She can quarterback any sort of problem within the district. But you can see that we've already established school-based DEI liaisons. And I think, in sort of thinking about the future, and this isn't necessarily for today, but thinking about how do we continue to expand the work. So we're not only does the position live at the cabinet level, but also is supported at the building level and in throughout departments in the organization. So I've said that, like, I like to repeat things I've said because I want to make sure that it's understood. Like, this isn't, also new work to us. We've been working on equity work for a long time in the district. And one of the things, and I just wanted to pull out a couple examples of how her work connects and has already connected to the work that we do. Those of you that have been around and like to kind of keep up on the policy front, we do have an equity policy that we've been working on for a couple of years. These are slides that I've shown before, so I'm going to run through them pretty quickly. But the idea is that, embedding equity as a practice and embedding it as a policy are important steps to ensuring that not only are we like heart and mind living the work, but that there's some direction that is supported and authorized by the board in terms of that work specifically. So not only is the work that Shawana is going to be leading and doing with us is also the directive of the Board of School Directors for us to be doing. So, and again, being as a policy can either be a barrier or a change agent and other things as well. But the idea is that this policy is designed to be, in codifying what we do, but also what we want to continue to do. And if you go to our policy page on the website, I'm sorry, I did not put a link in here or directions to get there, but it is under the About tab, and you can click on policy, and policy 101 is our equity policy. So I encourage people to take a look at that. I think it's intended to not only address, students and staff, but also the community that we want to ensure that we're cultivating, and as Dr. Mamine pointed out, sort of our umbrella for the organization as a whole. So I think this is Shawana and I will talk about this in greater detail. Hopefully I'll be able to partner with her in November and talk a little bit about how this work gets embedded into, professional development and things like that, and further on to students. So that's one piece where there are immediate connections between what we've been doing and how her role can help us extend that and embed it in the district and our practices moving forward. The other thing, and I want to point out, and it's just a quick plug for some ways in which we want to enhance communications around this work as well in particular, but just generally speaking, if you aren't already aware, we do have updated handbooks, student and family handbooks, and you can find them on each school's K-8 tab under the About tab, Student and Family Handbook. We had a variety of handbooks, and this transition K4, 5, 8 gave us a chance to update those and create some consistencies. And so you'll see that, we tried to make them look alike, because as a new family or family here, like as you travel through the schools, there should be some things in language that's common, expectations that we have for all schools and all students and all staff and all parents and guardians should sound relatively the same. We shouldn't be reinventing the wheel every time we talk about a school. So that was the intent behind this. And just to share, there's a number of different areas that it covers. It's intended to be handy, so it's not everything. It's not an everything book. It's a handy book. And so, like I said, some of the things are to create those umbrella statements and understandings, including, the work around equity. And so you'll see in each one of these handbooks, there's an Article 1 that is common to all of the handbooks that gives sort of an understanding of what are the expectations are for a community, for students and for staff. So you can check that out. Again, like restorative practices, there's some, again, common language about what that means in our schools. And then what I want to highlight real quick here, because I don't want to take up too much more time, key contact information, et cetera. But the one thing that Shawana has already helped us work on is our process for addressing concerns. And while we've always said we don't want to make this something that's complicated for families to do, so an email or a phone call is sufficient to start the conversation and hopefully get some redress to a concern that you might have. And so we wanted to, we understood that there was still some confusion around that. So this what you're seeing here is also in those handbooks, but just to communicate to you, because I know you also serve as ambassadors to families. So hopefully this is helpful information to you, that if that doesn't, if we're not getting resolution, if you're not getting resolution at a teacher level, at a principal level, we do have a reporting form that's on our website, and you can go there. A family could go there and share information that will be directly routed to the building principal as well as to our office, and that's the Office of Equity and Compliance. So there is automatic notification to us so that we can work with the building and with you to hopefully address those concerns. Alternatively, you can also contact our office directly if there's something that you want to sort of think through or talk through before you actually write that concern or complaint in this form. So I wanted to bring that to your attention. Again, we also have Safe to Say and some other information, but this was a, you know, specifically a collaborative effort of with Shawana to make sure that like thinking about her work and where you know, the information we would be collecting, she really helped in framing that for us as well. So just wanted to point that out as just a couple of examples of her immediate impact on the organization, and I think the way in which it's helping us refine the work that we do, be better communicators about the work, and hopefully, you know, help you you know, understand our goals and objectives as well. So that's
Megan, could you
part.
clarify where we
Sure.
find those handbooks?
Sure, let me go back real quick.
Just
So
someone
this-
was not-
Yeah, so this is actually a webpage. So if you went to our website, our district website, and went to a school, you would find this banner is similar to all schools. If you went to the About tab, and that opens up this little sidebar here, and then you can click on Student and Family Handbooks. So right now they're in PDF format. They're all going to be also translated into like a dynamic web page as well. That just takes a little more work. So we're working on that, but you can go to that right now and get all of that information that I just shared with you.
Okay, great. That was a question in the chat, so that clarified it for her.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Excellent. So if there are no further questions, I want to thank everyone for coming. I want to thank Ms. James Coles for your candid, you know, explanation of who you are. I think you sound fabulous. We can't wait to see you in a 3D form very soon at a school near us. And I would remind everyone that November 15th is our next hot topic at 9:30 a.m. via this same Zoom link. And I'm going to work on the Zoom link on the website. Apparently it wasn't live and it couldn't be clicked on. So I'll make sure to work on that. And thank you everyone for coming.